All right, huge day. I just finished the first part of the challenge. I made 5K at 1-2. Here's how it happened. So I get into TCH Dallas pretty early on a Saturday, and things are going well before I pick up pocket kings in early position. I raise it up to $15. Now, I'd been raising a lot the past couple of orbits, so I'm not surprised to see the player to my left 3-bet me up to 40. The button cold calls, and well, it's bad timing on these fellas' parts because I've really got it this time. Of course, I put in the 4-bet. I go $150. Kind of big, but not too big. Anyways, the player does make the call, which I'm kind of surprised by. I thought he would fold or go all in just because he only has $150 left in his stack. But anyways, button gets out of the way. As long as we don't see an ace on the flop, we're going to put the rest in. And there's no ace, but it's not the best board. It's Jack 6-5 all hearts. I do not have a heart in my hand. All the same, though, I'm going to go all in, and he snap calls. Don't love the snap call, but still, we have pocket kings. Let's see what happens. Board runs out deuce, deuce. I show, and we win against Jack 6. So got pretty lucky, got counterfeited at the end there, but at the same time, I would have been pretty bummed to lose with pocket kings to this hand. Let's keep going. Alright, so this one's a double board bomb pot hand, and we've got a pre-flop monster, ace king of clubs. First flop is 9-5-3 with 2 diamonds, absolutely nothing for us, but the second one, Jack 10-6 with 2 clubs. So we've got the nut flush draw. I'm in early position here. The player in front of me bets $15. Don't think raising makes any sense, just gonna call. Everybody else folds, which I'm pretty surprised by, and we head to the turns, king of diamonds on the first one, so the flush comes in there, but now we do have top pair, and the second one's a deuce of clubs. Perfect card. We've got the nuts there. He checks, and when he does that, I think I probably am winning both boards right now. I don't want to bet too big and scare him off. I bet $35, and he makes the call. Rivers are 4 of spades, so some straights come in there, and 6 of spades. So our flush isn't the nuts anymore. It's a paired board, but if you look at it, it is impossible for us to lose on both boards. So when he goes all in, of course I call, and we're actually going to scoop this one. He's got queen 9 of clubs, so really great turns for us. Yeah, can't lie, got lucky. And after this hand, I'm up to about $1,200, which means that I've made $700 on this session, which means that I'm over the 5K barrier that we needed to hit to get out of 1-2, and we're on to 2-5. Come on. All right, so definitely a couple of lucky hands there, but hey, I'll take it. So today is actually day 26. That's how long it took to do the challenge. I'll talk about this more later. Numbers at the end, total trip through 1-2, how many hours it took, where I played, how much I made at each spot, and maybe some overall takeaways at the end of the video. But right now, we're going on to 2-5. Finally, man. Let's do it. So the buy-in for the 2-5 game at Las Colinas is between $200 and $1,500. And I've decided I'm going to buy in for $800. This will give us a little over 6 buy-ins. Definitely not enough. Very small bankroll. Our risk of ruin is pretty high here. If I lose 3 or 4 buy-ins, I'll definitely move back down to 1-2. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So in for 800, and we get some action right away. There's a straddle on. It folds to me on the button. I put in a raise. Small blind calls, straddle calls. We go 3 ways to a flop, and it's 10-8-3, 2 diamonds. Well, this is the best hand you could possibly have with jack high. Flush draw, straight draw. I continue betting, and the small blind puts in a raise. He goes big, 175. When he goes this big, I'm pretty sure he has it, but my draw is just so huge that I kind of have to go with this one. I go all in, and he thinks about it and asks for a count. Now, if he folds, that would be so amazing. But eventually, he does put in the call, and we agree to go twice. Now, I'm going to be trying to go twice every single time that I can, because like I said, our risk of ruin is just so high. I want to reduce the variance as much as I can right now. The first board runs out queen of diamonds. Amazing for us. 10 of spades. So the board does pair, though. Second board, 9 queens. So a straight there. We win at least 1, maybe 2. I show, but nope, it's just a chop. He has pocket 10s. Wow, what a sick flop. I don't know what that tank was about. I mean, he had literally the nuts, but either way, this is a fair result, I'd say. Apart from that hand, not too interesting of a session. I did get a triple barrel bluff through with 7 high. Love doing that, and that gave me some confidence, so I tried to do the same thing with 6 high. Didn't work. Okay, how about 8 high? Again, I get called. At this point, I'm not really feeling too great about my game, and I decided to head out and I'll come back later. Played for like an hour and a half and lost small, but the real action is yet to come. So I come back later that night and I'm feeling a lot better. The Lakers just beat the Nuggets for the first time in literally years, so I'm kind of on a high here, and we play some big ones this session. I get king 9 of hearts in the big blind. The straddle is on and like 4 or 5 people limp. When it gets to me, I could limp in also. King 9 is good, not great, but with so much dead money out there, I feel like I should play aggressively. I go $75 and 2 players make the call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. King 8-6 rainbow. I continue betting here, $80. Low jack folds, cutoff makes the call. Turn is a 3 of hearts, gives us a flush draw. Feeling good, not great about my hand. He could have a sneaky 2 pair. He could even have a set of 6s or 8s. He could have a better king too, right? I personally don't limp any of those hands, but I know a lot of other people do. So I decided to slow down and check here with the intention of calling if he bets, and if he checks back, I'll almost definitely blast the river. But when he bets 175, I take a look at my stack and realize I really don't have that much left if I make the call. So I changed my mind and just decided to go all in here. Now, here I'm thinking a lot of things, and basically I'm value bluffing because, like I said, I think it's very plausible that he could have like king 10, king jack, maybe even king queen. If he has 2 pair or set, obviously we're just gonna have to run it, but I still have a flush draw if that is the case. And we can also commit him with like worse draws. Like what if he has like 9-7 or 7-5 or some kind of flush draw that's behind ours. But yeah, overall pretty improvised decision to check all in here. I'm not sure how much sense it makes, but I think it is plausible that I could play a strong hand this way, right? Like aces or ace king to try to get the money in on the turn rather than wait for the river. But anyways, after thinking about it for a while, he does make the call. Would have been awesome if he folded, but not the case. We agree to go twice. Like I said, I'm going to be doing that every time I can. First board, jack of hearts. Wish I went once, but whatever. Second board, 9 of clubs. So I show, and we're actually going to scoop both. He is not happy about this. He says he had king queen. So yeah, pretty sick. Poorly played by me, definitely. But, you know, sometimes you got to get lucky.
I don't guess it matters if I go once.
Yeah.
You have no idea how sick that was.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was gonna just call it, but like I didn't have that much behind, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I already
had 175.
Yeah.
I had king queen.
I got you. I'm on the button with jack 8 suited. There's a limp, I raise it up, and he makes the call, so we're going heads up to a flop. This is the same guy from the last hand, so maybe still a little bit tilted. We flop a flush draw, continue betting. He makes the call. Then we make that flush on the turn. Let's go. He checks. Of course I bet. And again, he makes the call. River is clean. He leads out now for $125. And he's got maybe $300 left in his stack. There is kind of a question here if we should go all in or just call. He, of course, could have a queen high or ace high flush. It's also not impossible that he's bluffing. But I think overall he's going to have a lot of smaller flushes too. So it's definitely worth jamming. I go all in and he snap calls. Don't love the snap, but when we show, we're good. He had 4 deuce of diamonds, so pretty sick, flush over flush. And yeah, hate to do it to the same guy twice in a row, but yeah, sorry not sorry. Alright, the straddle is back on, and we've got pocket deuces in the cutoff. I raise it up to 30, and we get 3-bet by the button to 90. Action gets back around to me. I've been trying to be a little tighter with like 3-bet calling lately, but we're both deep and in kind of late position. I think we got to see a flop with deuces here, and boy oh boy am I glad when I see queen 4 deuce rainbow. I check, he bets $100. I don't think it really makes sense to raise on this dry board. I just put in the call, and the turn is the 10 of hearts. So this definitely changes the board a lot. I check, he bets again, $200 this time. Now you could maybe raise, but I think it's a bad idea. And the reason is I want to keep his bluffs in, right? This guy seems like a good player, and this kind of board is like perfect for bluffing from his perspective. So there's definitely a lot of rivers I don't want to see, but I'm just going to put in the call again. And of all the rivers I didn't want to see, this is not one of them. We get literally the best one in the deck. It's the 4 of diamonds. I check in flow, and he bets big, $500. Almost certain that we've got the winner here. I'm going to put in a fake little Hollywood. I tank for like 30 seconds, but of course, I go all in for his last 800, and he snap calls. Don't love the snap call, but we turn over our hand, and we're good. He said he had pocket kings, so yeah, pretty sick, man. It's just crazy how well I'm running so far today. Like literally the perfect run out versus the perfect hand. From his perspective, he really only loses to like deuces, quads, or tens, realistically, right? So yeah, it's a sick one, man. And this is the biggest pot of the challenge so far. I've got my stack up to like $4,000 right now. Wow. And remember, this day started at 1-2. It's crazy the difference that a day can make. We are absolutely cooking right now. Oh, and to close out the night, I get pocket queens, put in a 3-bet, flop top set, of course. I prefer middle set, but, you know, I'll take it. I bet once, get called, bet the turn again, but no more value for us. He makes kind of a good fold with king jack here, and we head out shortly after. Amazing, amazing day. We win over $3,000 in this one session and nearly 4K overall on the day. This is the kind of day that I've been dreaming about really for like almost a month. Finally it happens, and I'm gonna try to capitalize on it. I come back the next day and let's do it all over again, man. So this session gets off to a slow start, but not necessarily a bad start. I end up being in the game for about $1,100, but I don't play a very interesting hand for like the first 3 hours of the session, really. Finally, I play kind of a big one. We get king queen under the gun. I raise it up to $20, and we're gonna go 6 ways to a flop here. Flop's good. It's queen 4-4 rainbow, but in this case, with 6 people, it is not unlikely that somebody has a 4. And also, my hand doesn't need a lot of protection. The only card I don't want to see is an ace. If I had like queen 10, I would probably bet, but with king queen, I think I'm okay just checking, and I'm happy to see it check around. Very confident I have the best hand now. Turn is even better. It's a king. Brings in a lot of draws though. I gotta bet now. I go $65, and only one player makes the call. River is an offsuit 10. It's a good enough river. A couple of straights do come in, but we should be good. And now I'm gonna go into bet fold mode. I'm gonna value bet, but if he makes the raise, I'm probably gonna have to lay my hand down. I go kind of big, $185, and he does end up making the call. We're good, and we've got our stack up to about $1,700 now. Just kind of slow and steady. Again, this is the biggest pot I've played so far. Totally cool with this kind of vibe so far, but some bigger hands are coming. And we're under the gun again, except this time it's king. There's a straddle on this time. I raise it up to 30, and again, we go 6 ways to a flop. It's 8-5-4 with 2 diamonds. Action checks to me, and on this kind of board, I'm probably good, but again, 6 ways, I want to tread carefully. I check, and this time the player in the 5 seat is going to bet pretty big, $150. Guy to my right makes the call, and I'm going to do something pretty nitty here. I lay it down. Not sure about this one at all, but I just think it's not likely, even if I'm good now, that I'll be good by the river with this hand. So I make the fold. Let me know about this one in the comments. I'm really not sure what to do in this spot. But the guy to my left makes the call, so they're gonna go 3 ways to a 3 of spades. Action checks to the better again, and he goes huge, $1,000, and both of these guys fold. Seemed like they were on some kind of draws. The player in the 5 seat shows an 8, and I'm pretty sure he's got something else with it. So I feel good about the fold, but again, not totally sure. Very interesting spot, and hey, I had to put in a losing hand, right? Okay, how about another bomb pot hand? Now, at 2-5, we play PLO, not Hold'em. So it's 2 boards, PLO. Pretty crazy game. I've definitely been hurt before, but I still play them. I'm on the button with Jack 10, 7, 6. First board is Ace, Ace 3 with 2 spades. So we have something, but I'm not feeling good about it. Even if we hit the spade draw, it's unlikely that we'll end up winning that one. Second board is kind of amazing. It's 9, 8 deuce rainbow. So we've got a full wrap. Any 5, 6, 7 or queen gives us the nuts, and a jack or a 10 would give us a straight 2, just not to the nuts. Action checks all the way to me, and you could go either way here. I could take some free cards, or I could try to take control of the pot and maybe even just take it down right here, right? So I bet $75. Seat 5 makes the call. Seat 6 though goes all in. He's got $250 total. This is the problem with betting. I could have taken a free card, but when action gets back around to me, I'm committed. I make the call, and so does seat 5. So we're going to some turns here, 3 ways. A lot of money in already. King of spades on the first one, so we hit a flush, but like I said, I'm not feeling great on on that board, and 10 of diamonds on the second one. So that's one of the straight cards that doesn't give us the nuts. Again, feeling good, not great. He checks, and I'm happy to see this. I don't want to bloat the pot here. I don't want to put my whole stack in. I'm gonna slow down and check, and we go to the rivers. 7 of hearts, 3 of clubs. Shouldn't change much at all. Honestly, really good river cards. And when he checks again, now I'm feeling a whole lot better. I do think we should go for some value here because there's a good chance that we can scoop at least the side pot. I bet about half the pot, $425. He thinks for a while, but does make the call. I show, and we do in fact win the side pot. So that 425 is coming our way, and we're actually going to win the main pot too. The player who went all in on the flop had ace, queen, 6-4. So he had a big ace, but he couldn't boat up. So we're going to scoop a really big pot here. These PLO hands are super fun when you're on the right side of them. Could obviously go the other way, but I've got my stack up to about $2,900 now, and yeah, kind of cooking. Again under the gun, and again a pretty good hand. Pocket nines. I raise it up to $20, and we go 4 ways to a flop this time. We do flop an overpair. It's 7-6-5, 2 clubs. Definitely gonna tread kind of carefully though. I bet $35, and 2 of the players make the call. Turns a jack of clubs. Definitely don't want to see that one. Action checks to me. I check, and the player behind checks too. So we go to a river. It's the 10 of clubs. Now I almost definitely lose. Player in front of me checks, and well, I guess we're gonna have to turn what was once an overpair into a bluff. I think I'm way more likely to have a big club than these other guys. I bet $135 this time, and thankfully both players make the fold. The guy to my right shows the 9 of clubs. I appreciate the respect, bro, but I don't deserve it. Alright, here we go. Ace 4 of hearts. Player to my right raises it up to $35. Pretty huge raise, honestly. The straddle's not on this hand, and honestly, you should fold ace 4 in this situation. But, you know, I like to see flops. I make the call. Button calls too. We're gonna go 3 ways to a flop. It's king, jack, 4 with 2 hearts. So, pair and a flush draw for us. The raiser keeps going. He goes $80, and well, pair and a flush draw. I could represent pocket 4s or king, jack. I'm gonna try to get him to fold his 1 pair holdings. I go up to 260, but this does not get the job done as the button makes the cold call, and the low jack quickly makes the call too. Bloated pot now. We're going 3 ways to a turn, and bink, 3 of hearts.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
Low jack checks. I don't think that he has a flush, but I think it's fairly likely that the player to my left does have a flush, if that makes sense. After he cold called, I think he either has queen 10 or some kind of worse flush than me. With the nut flush here, I kind of want to make it a 3-street game. Maybe kind of make it look like I'm betting worse for value, right? I go 275. Button calls once again, but the low jack makes the fold this time. River is clean. It's a deuce of clubs. Now, I think there's some merit to checking it over to him, because like I said, I think he'll have a lot of worse flushes, and maybe he can get away from like a 9 high, an 8 high flush if I go all in here. But if I check, it kind of makes it look like I have pocket 4s or king jack, like I said before, right? And he'll feel better about putting the money in himself rather than calling my bet. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to risk it out of position. I put him all in for his last $750, and he goes into the tank. Would really love to see a call here, and eventually he does make it. Of course, we're good, and he said he had pocket kings, so pretty interesting way to play him. I got really lucky, can't lie, and actually the player to my right had pocket aces. So yeah, I was just caught up between 2 massive hands, with one that I probably should have folded pre-flop, but you know, sometimes it pays to gamble a little bit, right? And now we've got our stack up to 4,700, man. This is crazy what's going on, not just today, but yesterday too. Then I make kind of a creative little play with jack high. I do a bet check bet line, so like bet the flop, check back the turn, and then bet the river. I think in the current meta of poker, bet check bet is like almost always value, and that's what it's seen as. So I like to mix in some bluffs here, and thankfully this one does get through. But then, unthankfully, the next hand I river a flush, and my value bet gets through too. He folded the river. Can't complain though, things are just going really well. And it just doesn't stop, man. I don't know. I got ace 10 offsuit with the ace of diamonds. I raise it up pre-flop, and then the flop is 2 diamonds on kind of a dry board. So I bet again. Player makes the call. Turns a diamond. Of course, I got to continue on this card. He makes the call again. I don't even consider the fact that I'll get there. I just figured I would bluff big on the river. but I do get there. I river flush.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss. No. In the heat of controversy, he don't miss. No.
So I guess we're still gonna bet, right? I go 200 and he goes into the tank. So he makes the right fold in the end. Oh well. Can't complain too much. We're gonna get out of here pretty soon after, cashing out a huge win. Like I said at the beginning of the video, stay tuned for the end. I'll go over how I got out of 1-2 and like everything that came along with it. But first, let's recap this weekend. All right, so like I said, I'll go over the 1-2 results of the challenge here in just a minute. But to recap today and yesterday too, I just won almost $4,000, which is crazy considering I won almost $4,000 yesterday too, and it took like, you know, close to a month to get to 5K. Yeah, I think overall it's something like $12,000 now, so we're like halfway. Challenge total right here, goal is 25K, and I have a little bit over a month left to do it. So yeah, pretty sick. 4 weeks into the challenge now, just about, and yeah, it's been kind of up and down, but right now is definitely a huge up, and I needed this, man, because like I said, once I get to 2.5, I need to run good early, because if I lost like $3,000, I'd have to move right back down, and then it'd be really tough to finish. But I like where we're at now. Dude, I can't miss. Like today and yesterday, like no matter what I do, even if I play poorly, like it just works out. Yeah, poker is like super fun when this kind of thing happens. But yeah, so now let's go over full details of what happened at 1-2 and how we got to here, basically. So here we go. Okay, so I was gonna do like a big data visualization thing to kind of show everything, but I think I'm gonna wait to do that until the end of the challenge, which fingers crossed will hopefully happen and happen soon. But anyway, so I wrote it all down right here instead. So here's the final tally, and then I'll kind of talk about like kind of what I think about everything. So I spent the most of my time playing at TCH Dallas, which was like the original Texas card house here in the area, and I made about 1,300, which isn't bad, but I played 57 hours there, so the hourly is not so great. On the other hand, at Las Colinas, spent less time, about 42 hours across the challenge, and made significantly more, like almost 3 times as much. So that kind of shows like how variance is just ridiculous, like in the short term, because really you would think Dallas would be the spot to make more, and that's why I played there. Mostly is because they have a higher cap. It's $500 max instead of $300 at Las Colinas. But you know, some stacks can still build at the TCH social spot. So that definitely happened for us, right? Like the 2 biggest wins were there, and that's probably why the number is so high. And those were really like outlier sessions, right? Like you can't expect that to happen. That always happen every once in a while, but yeah, it's like a bonus really. But those were huge. And also I played at the Fort for 5 hours and made about $100. So there's that too. So overall across the challenge, it took a little over 100 hours of grinding and a lot of video editing, but made like 48 an hour. So honestly, that's a great result. I don't know if I can make that much at the 1-2 games usually here. Probably definitely can't do it in certain spots, like in Vegas it would probably be tougher, but anyways, that's the result. And I have 3 kind of big takeaways for anybody that's wanting to improve and is kind of struggling to get out of the lowest stakes. Number 1 is dead money. So I talked about this before on a couple of the videos, but the spot where it's just the best and easiest way to make money in poker is like when people are like limping in, or like just seeing like tons and tons of flops, like trying to for cheap. Just raise it up and you'll thin the field a little bit, and then especially on dry boards, put in some C bets, and most people just aren't really going to play back at you. It's like, oh, I didn't hit, he's betting, I'll just fold now and play the next hand, right? But that's the spot where you really want to be taking advantage. You don't want to be getting run over, on the other hand, right? You want to be the one kind of running people over, just like softly, right? Like, again, these aren't going to be huge pots, but just like one by one, they're going to help you so much. That was key for me, definitely, between like when I was coolering somebody or like getting coolered. that's where you really see like the steady kind of rise. Number 2, and this is kind of counterintuitive to what I just said, but see more flops, right? If you think that you know what you're doing and you want to keep improving, you need to see more flops, not less. Like, there's going to be a lot of like pre-flop charts out there that'll tell you how to play. You should play like significantly wider than that, I think, especially at these stakes. And you should open wider because people don't 3-bet very much. People don't 3-bet very much, which means that you can be the aggressor going into the flop more often. And also like widening your range, you know, it helps a lot sometimes. If you have like 8-7 suited, you played it aggressively pre-flop from like an early position, flop comes out like 10-9-6, people aren't going to think that you're over it, but you definitely are. So yeah, I would just say see more flops, and that's going to improve you as a player too, I think. Like, definitely when I started playing poker, I sucked, but I just wanted to see every flop, and I naively thought that I could outplay everybody. I definitely couldn't back then, but I think I became a lot better for it. If you know how to play different hands in different situations all the time, you'll end up getting a huge edge, basically. I say card debt is a mindset. You should say that too. And lastly, number 3, I didn't really do this at all during the challenge, but I'm definitely doing it now that I'm up at 2-5, and that is table change, man. Like, if your table is really slow and you just don't think like there's much money to be made, some good players there too that are not gonna give their chips away easily, just table change. And like, everybody says this, but you know, you don't really want to be the guy that's like always like moving tables constantly, but it's okay to do it sometimes, right? Just find like 1 or 2 tables that you think look good and just ask the floor like, hey, when possible, can you move me to these ones? That's what I did on the Sunday session. So this, the day 27 that you just saw, like I was at like what I thought was a really bad table when I first got there. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm at a good table and ended up going like amazingly, right? So those 3 things will help you a lot. Obviously you should, you know, kind of study a little bit, not too much. And then lastly, just get out there and play and see what you got, right? But thank you guys for watching. The 2-5 part is going so well so far. Still a long way to go. I'm gonna go play like right now after this video is uploaded. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on the KDog Poker Vlog. Take care.